Sometimes in life we get to choose our battles. Sometimes we win, and sometimes we lose. And sometimes life gives you a battle you weren't ready for whatsoever.
And then it just hit me all of a sudden. It's like, almost like I was in a movie myself. It was like, dang, I'm really just sitting here and I've got cancer, I've got this and that going on with me. I'm on the brink of death.
This is Adam. In July 2020, he received the news that none of us ever want to hear. Cancer had spread through his body, leaving him a very grim prognosis.
When we got up to the hospital, all I wanted to do was, I just wanted to go home. I mean, I would tell my nurse that all the time, like, I just want to go home. Like, I don't care, being up there, like, it was during that COVID time, and I mean, your visitors, I mean, you couldn't have visitors, so like my big fear was, I don't want to die alone. You know what I mean? Like, so I just want to go home in my bed to where if I do die, I'll die with my dog beside me. You know what I mean?
This is Adam. This is a young man whose fortitude, determination, and positive attitude pushed him forward every day to battle this cancer. This is a story you can't look away from. This is a story of many ups and downs. I wanted to find out more about Adam's journey, so I spoke with the people closest to Adam. This is who Adam is.
His only goal is to help people around him be better in whatever it is that they're doing.
Like, he's really tough. You know, I'm a little bit bigger than him, but I was always surprised with how tough he was. Like, me and some of the other instructors would always talk about that.
I would say Adam is one of the most sincere people that you'll ever meet.
And it's crazy now to see him. I mean, he's still the most positive person on the planet. Like, when he walks into the gym, it's like he's still that same light. Like, he still carries around this like positive energy that, I don't know, he's just always such a joy to see. And I think everybody that interacts with him feels that.
Adam's one of the most inspirational people I have ever had the pleasure of meeting.
It's my understanding that a lot of people that were helping him, a lot of the healthcare workers, doctors and everything, nurses, they were very impressed with that too, that he could come in day after day going through that and still like have a good attitude. But that's Adam.
When you see the scans like that, I mean, you know, even to a lay person, that's, you didn't, I mean, I didn't expect I definitely did not expect Adam to be back on the mats and back training. And, you know, he would, like, every other day he would send me a video, he'd send me a David Goggins quote, and and I'd be like, okay, Adam, yeah, like, okay, don't push yourself that hard, buddy.
The biggest thing was focus on the little wins. Like that, like, there was a point in time, it's like, man, I got up and I went to the bathroom by myself, and that's a win, you know what I mean? Like, even I'm able to drink a whole bottle of water for the day. That's a win.
Like, very positive, very upbeat, very motivated.
I can't believe this is happening. Like, we're going to battle. Like, kind of how it is, like, it ain't always rosy. Like, even if you have that mentality, like, there are those times where, like, you've got that, well, where I've had that self-doubt or whatever, where I was just like, oh man, like.
But then Adam just said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that was like, I think, the one thing he said when he got his purple belt. So, like, there you have it, right? So any day that I'm not feeling up to train, you know, sometimes if I'm tired or sore, you know, or whatever, in any kind of mood, like, you just have to remember that, you know, and how excited he was to get back to training when that was, you know, almost taken away from him.
You can't not love him, especially in a field where it's very easy to feel underappreciated and unseen. He makes you feel powerful. I mean, it's hard to overstate how big of an impact he made on the medical professionals that he interacts with.
Oh man, and then to see the progress now, it's crazy. I mean, he's, you know, like, he's not back to his normal, but he's doing better than most of the folks that come in and train. he got promoted to purple belt, and it wasn't like a cancer boy purple belt. No, it was like
He's
Adam's
tough.
been putting in work, and you know, he's exceptional on the mats, and it's really, really cool to see him be able to you know, kind of come full circle and get back to his, you know, normal life in the way that he does things. And I know he's still a long way from that, but I mean, certainly from where he was, I didn't expect to see it, and it's really a testament to you know, his mental fortitude and his grit to be able to get through that, and when nobody expected.
Yeah, that's what's in ways kind of so cool about I don't know, my journey or my story, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this, is just like to give back to jiu-jitsu, and like a thanks to like the community, like, you know, my community, you know what I mean? Like, just like, I don't know, I want people to know, like, if you believe in yourself, you're able to do a lot, you know what I mean?
On this day, we join Adam at the Hall Perrine Cancer Center. It's December of 2022, nearly 2.5 years after his cancer diagnosis. But in order to get to here, let's go back to the beginning of it all.
Where I started feeling symptoms, I'd say probably April 2020, maybe March 2020. And those symptoms are kind of like, it's hindsight 2020. You know what I mean? Like, at the time, I thought I was just training too much, my back pain. So it started with my back pain is the first thing that I noticed, like, personally. Other people noticed my emotions kind of changing. That was because my hormone level ended up getting to about, I think it was like 324,000 and some change. And usually a male's got less than 5. So I had my peak hormone level was higher than that of a pregnant woman at her peak. So, and at the time I didn't really notice it until I got closer to diagnosis, but my back pain was the main thing. And then the back pain was a constant. It started getting more and more. And June is when I could start to see like labored breathing, but it wasn't like, I was already very active. I was already doing like 2-a-days at Jiu Jitsu, waiting to start at my new job.
I remember Adam was coming to class, and he'd come to class and then he'd run for like miles after like a hard workout.
And I was running 3 to 5 miles a day and stuff, so I was already like a real physically fit person.
I remember back at our old location before I moved here, and I didn't know him that well back then because I had just moved to Iowa, but I would remember pulling up like 30 minutes before class or whatever, maybe even earlier, and he would be out running on the bike paths that we had back behind the gym. He would just be like running, like I don't know how many miles before class, and then come in and train and then go run some more. And I just remember thinking back then, like, man, this guy's crazy. And then I got to know a little bit more about Adam, and I'm like, yeah, he sure is, in the best way possible.
Dude, that was like a month and a half before I was diagnosed. Is that crazy? Like, yeah. Like I was doing the 2-a-days at Jiu Jitsu, and then I would go, because it was during COVID, and then I'd go run 3 to 5 miles afterwards, and that's just where I was like, oh man, something feels lingering. So like I was still able to complete tasks, but I could notice like stuff was becoming a little bit harder, and this was peak time of COVID lockdown, June 2020. And I did a COVID test, negative. Dang. Well, then I started, like, on my nipple. It wasn't on the side or anything. I started getting like if you pushed like on my nipple inward, you could feel like a lump. And then I was kind of like, yeah, I did a little bit of Google MD, nothing too crazy because that's not really my style. This is where I noticed my that hormone change kicking in, and my emotions were starting to like change a lot. I was more sensitive to things, I'd say. And that's like hindsight 2020 speaking.
Sensitive is in emotions or more of the touch? Or?
Oh yeah, good question. Emotions, sensitive, like if someone said something or whatnot, I was a lot more, I wouldn't really say offended, maybe like triggered. That's the cool word nowadays. Between the physical pain and then the emotional pain, you know, it started bringing up previous like childhood stuff, you know what I mean? Hormone level and depression and stuff has taken me to a dark place, and which honestly is kind of a blessing in disguise. So I was starting to have more suicidal thoughts constantly. Like, I don't think a lot of people knew that I was like in the loony bin, you know what I mean? I got committed, I think it was June 24th, 2020. I got committed because I was suicidal.
Had you known your diagnosis yet?
Nope. I didn't know really anything was going on. So I did not like that at all, because I was up in the hospital and it just all my back pain and stuff, and then like now it's starting to get to where my back pain, I couldn't sit for 2 minutes, maybe a minute. I'd just constantly be moving, trying to roll my back out, because I had no idea. I really didn't. I thought maybe I did something to my back training, herniated disc or whatever. You know, you hear about that a lot in Jiu Jitsu, so that's what I was thinking. So when I got committed, I got put on an antidepressant, and that kind of helped. I was living with my friend at the time. Mentally, I was, you know, doing a little bit better. I was no longer really like full-on suicidal or anything. I was feeling, you know, a little bit better. Pain was bad. Now we're sliding into July, and at this point, the breathing's becoming a little bit more labored, but I'm still able to do my stuff. Halfway through June, probably a week before I got committed, I stopped working out and stuff and training, just because I was so much pain that I just couldn't do it anymore. So July we're coming, and there was a big UFC fight card, and I'm watching that with this was just a memory I have, a hindsight 2020 memory, and we're watching that, and like I'm constantly like in the chair, laying down on the couch, trying to lay down on the floor, standing up, just because my pain was just so bad. And then in the mornings it was for about a week before I finally was convinced to go to the ER. I started coughing up blood in the morning. And at my, I don't know if you want to call it like a defense mechanism or what at the time, my ignorance, my stubbornness, I was just like, oh, you know, that the air could be dry. Just making this and that. It's allergies, you know, allergies could be doing it. And finally, I did that for probably about a week, and the straw that broke the camel's back was, I was at my mom's, and I forgot to mention the best part, so I'm just gonna, with my emotions and stuff leading up to this, I'm just gonna go back a little bit. I ended up getting a puppy in May. His name's Kron, after Kron Gracie. I'm a huge Nate Diaz fan. He got me into MMA and martial arts in general. Hit me up, Nate. No, I'm just kidding. But anyhow, I got a golden doodle, and it was awesome. It gave me something to look forward to. It helped me sleep at night and stuff. It was my mom's idea. I'm at my mom's, And I got the dog there, and she worked third shift at the time, so I was gonna stay. I was taking a nap. It was probably about 6 at night, 6 in the evening. And I woke up, and this time I just puked out blood. And I did not feel good at all. Like, I was just in so much pain, just so much pain. Like, I pretty much I'm gonna move just a little bit. Yeah. So at this period of time, I'm usually sitting on the couch or something like this, just because I've got so much back pain. So I'm usually hunched over a chair, couch, bed, or whatever. Or I'm just on the floor, just kind of almost like a fetal position, like where I've just got my head down. I stay there for pretty much almost the whole night. My mom comes home and she's like, "You haven't moved?" I'm like, "No, not really. I'm just in so much pain." She talks me into going to the ER. It's probably about 10 a.m. Go to the ER, I'm in there for 10 minutes, and she gets to nagging at me, and you know what, screw this. Take me home. So she takes me home, and on the way home, we're nagging at each other, and I'm a very, very stubborn person. And she's like, "You know what, you can just walk home." I'm like, "You know what, I'll run home." So I'm over by Wilson Avenue, Hy-Vee, getting ready to run home to where I live by Kirkwood. And going up that hill, and I get up the hill, and she stops and she's like yelling at me, "What are you doing, you idiot, blah, blah, blah." And love you, Mom. And so anyhow, she ends up getting the car. I end up going back, and then I go back home to my place, and she's like, "Are you feeling any better?" I'm like, "No, I'm really not feeling any better." So I go back, and I'm like, "You're gonna have to drive me in." So at this time, I had a doctor's appointment scheduled for a couple days later, just a regular one. But I was just in so much pain, and so my mom takes me to the ER again, second time, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. Really wild thinking back on it. One of the doctors or medical professionals, they were gonna do an ultrasound, and they were kind of like arguing about whether they should do it because my testicle field felt normal. There was nothing, it wasn't size of an orange or anything. There was no lumps or anything. But they ended up doing it, and it was it's about 2 a.m. now, and they come in and they're like, "Well, Adam, we don't know anything yet, but from what we do know, there's a lot of alarming lab work and stuff. You don't have to stay, you can leave, but that means you're gonna be going to outpatient, and honestly, we don't know how much time you have, if you have time to go to outpatient, because you could be a week or two before you actually get your tests and whatnot done as outpatient." So stubborn me, was like, I was kind of hesitant because I just wanted to get home. But I ended up staying, and they do like a liver biopsy, all this other stuff, like something biopsy down my throat and whatnot. And finally, about July 15th, 2020, about 5 p.m., my oncologist, Dr. Wood, comes in, and he's like, "Adam, you're very sick, man. You've got a very rare testicular cancer."
Beta HCG 324,645. That's a crazy high number. That's like I never seen anything that high.
I think it's like a 1 in 100,000 or something crazy that just spread throughout your body. I had like 4 spots on my liver, 4 nodules.
So on my left is gonna be the original scan.
All those circles are cancer.
Yeah, all of that is cancer.
Too many to count in my lungs, like that's exactly what it said. It was too many to count. And then a 6-inch tumor that was like on my spine. And
Again, the initial scan is on my left. See all this thing in the centrally located here? All this is cancer. All of this. Here's your liver. This is the diaphragm on the right, diaphragm on the left. Here's the liver. Here's this centrally located large mass. There's your bladder. Actually, you're supposed to have here sort of other organs. They're all squished back of this. Yeah.
all that back pain was crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just like it was intermingled with like all my organs, and it just was pressing everything out.
All of that here that I outline here is cancer.
It's kind of weird, like one of the sort of jokes in medicine is that if the pharmacist can read how bad the x-ray or the CT is, you know it's bad.
He's like, if you do treatment between Mercy, the Halperine, and I think it was U of I, they're like, if you do treatment, you have about 10 to 20% chance of living. If you don't, you'll probably die in about a week or two.
And then I got a message that he had cancer, and it was so far developed that like people they figure it out way before, but he was like in this mindset. He was just such a tough kid, and he was just like running through it, and like, oh yeah, my back hurts a little bit, but I'm gonna keep going. And then I remember got more and more tests, and it was, you know, like stage 4, and I remember him sending me the pictures, and it was like his entire stomach was like lit up like a Christmas tree.
I took it pretty well. I was kind of worried at first. I have a real close relationship with my oncologist. I was kind of worried at first because we didn't jive necessarily. He kind of thought I was, I don't know, like not taking it seriously, like just based on some of the answers of his questions. But like I was taking it serious. It was just kind of how my personality is. Like there's no joke off limits. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna go.
You're more toned than I recall when I last saw you. Yeah. You are more toned up. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go like through like my initial thought of when I heard it. Like it was that shock. But with everything, I was kind of relieved because at least there was an answer for everything that was happening. There was an answer for like all this bad. There was a way to explain what was causing everything. You know what I mean? So like I'm not left here sitting like, oh, am I going crazy in my head? Like I can feel like my emotions and stuff are changing. Do I got CTE or like that was very kind of comforting to know like, oh, it's not just me losing my mind, you know. Sorry.
And I was kind of in shock. Adam was like kind of like a younger sibling. You know, you never think that you know, somebody that's younger than you that seems like perfectly healthy would not only get cancer, but it would be so far advanced and go from, you know, being able to, you know, work out hard, train, go running after class to you know, to being so sick so quickly.
So he walks in, tells me all that, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, oh man. And I had that almost like a light at the end of the tunnel look. When I say that, like not like a bad way, but like, oh, the answer thing. And like during the first 2 days, because I didn't start chemo. I think that was a Tuesday where I got diagnosed. I didn't start chemo until like Thursday or Friday. They said if I didn't do anything in like a week or two, that's a good chance I'd probably be dead. So, and dude, those 2 days, man, I was really sick. I mean, that first month in general, through chemo and everything, I was really sick. my mom would set a timer, and she would have a notebook of like when I took my medications and stuff, like a little log, because there's just so many of them. It was only gonna get more once I started chemo. So like pretty much at that time, I think all I was doing was like pain medication type stuff, and I was in bed a lot of the time. Like I'd go to bed or try to go to bed in between getting sick, and like every it was supposed to be 4 hours for like when you're supposed to take the morphine, but like every now and then I'd push it to like 3 or 3.5. Just you gotta do what you gotta do, man. And I was very like in the forefront of my mind was like luckily, not luck, however you take it. I know some other people that got hooked on pain medication, so that was in the forefront of my mind too. Was like, I need to make sure when I don't need these anymore that I'm done, because I had 120 tablets of morphine. At that time, like they told me the death thing, but like my emotions were still kind of high. Like I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, like I'm content. Whatever happens, happens. Like I wasn't scared of death or anything. Like it was just, you know, it happens, it happens. Like I've lived a good life. I'm not worried about where I'm going or any of that. They set my room up. It was comfortable, you know, TV and whatnot. Just what I call is like my little 12 by whatever the dimensions are, 12 by 10 little jail cell for the next year and a half. That could be worse. And so that was kind of cool. See that? Look at this. Look at that. This is where I was sleeping, man. See, that's where I sleep in my dog bed there, because I just had to move. We start chemo, and it is not going well at all. Like my body is, it is going through the ringer. The first day, they're trying to give it to me, and I can't keep fluids down. I can't keep anything down. I'm getting sick. So they end up putting me under, and giving me my treatment that way. That first day. Yeah, I was in the back room, just getting sick. They moved me in one of those beds, and that's when they did it. On the weekends you go to, because that was a Thursday or Friday, I can't remember fully. And then on the weekends you go to I think they call it like the Hope Center or whatever. It's in the bottom floor of the Mercy Hospital, and great nurses there. But like one of the things that sticks out to me is like, dude, you don't get they make you buy the food there. They make you buy the food. The Hope Center, they'll charge you like $10 for this thing, man. It's crazy. Yeah. At Hall for Ryan, you're good. Like they're encouraging, like, no, take this with you. You're gonna be hungry later, just because it goes back to they want anything, just any calories.
Adam, can I give you anything?
Yeah, I'll just take a banana. And do you guys got any ham sandwiches?
I do, right there.
All right, awesome, thank you.
Chips?
Yeah, that's fine, might as well.
The bananas are kind of green, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Come back tomorrow and they'll be better. No.
Yeah.
Water or anything?
Yeah, I'll take a water, might as well.
All right.
I learned last time, you snooze, you lose. They're gone quick.
Take it while they offer
That's
it.
right, even if you take it to go.
Do you have any mayo, by any chance? Awesome, thank you very much. I was getting kind of skinny at that time too, but like later on it was because I was getting like really skinny and whatnot. Like as the chemo would progress, when it'd go downhill. Probably in the teens, like 100 something. I get through, but it's rough. I start the next week of chemo, because like usually I think the way my schedule would go, I'd do like like 5 or 6. It was like a handful of days on, and I'd get a couple days break, and then a handful of days on, and then a couple days break, and then I think I'd get like a week break maybe, or it was something like that. I always looked forward to that week break, because it ended up being like a week and a half between that one day on. I started the next week. This would have been my second week. I am not doing good at all. They put a PICC line in me, so that would make it easier. I start my my treatment, and luckily we're at Hall Perrine. Like, I'm still got my crazy back pain. I got all the pain, not doing well. And this is just like where my mind goes. And my nurse who sees this, she's gonna remember this. She starts the chemo, and I'm just not feeling good sitting in that chair. So I lay on the floor in my chemo room or whatever, my hospital room, and she comes in and about has a heart attack because all she sees is a patient on the floor. But yeah, I was still getting sick, and that first couple weeks, they're like, "You're probably not gonna make it through chemo, but we're gonna try." Like, Dr. Woods, the way he phrased it was something like, either the cancer is gonna kill you or the chemo is gonna kill you, or a miracle is gonna happen, like one of the two. So like, we just kept pushing hard, and the chemo treatments are, you'd go in from it's about like a full days of work. It's usually about 7-8 hours. The day when the time when I just do it like once a week, that was cool, because it was like a quick hour one that would like hit you really hard, but you'd be good. So I'm a couple weeks into the chemo, and I'm starting to get chemo sores in my mouth. That was probably my least favorite part about the chemo part. I do have a favorite thing about the chemo. It's a little curveball there. The chemo sores, it's almost like a canker sore or something. And you can get them in your mouth, like even in your throat and stuff. You're breathing those sores. You're swallowing your saliva. Like, dude, that's another reason why I'd get so dehydrated, is because I just hated to drink any fluids, because it was just a pain in the ass. Like, it hurt so much, like eating or whatever. That would definitely affect my eating, because I didn't want to eat or drink. With those chemo sores, they would give you, it's called a magic mouthwash. And this was like liquid gold to me at the time. Like, that was liquid gold. And at this time, I'm up to 10 to 15 medications, and it is just, I got medications for nausea. I got medications because I can't stop hiccuping. Like, there was a point of time where I was just hiccuping all the time. I just couldn't stop. And it would be for hours. I had medication for that, some stomach lining medication, because of all the other medications were hard on your stomach. It was just all these different ones that you would have to take around the clock. And like, sometimes they'd help and sometimes they wouldn't. Yeah, like a lot of times you just end up throwing them back up. Like, there was a lot of those medications. You'd take it, and within 30, this is gonna sound disgusting. Like, there was some medications you'd puke up in your mouth, but it's like, gosh, I need this. So you're forcing you to keep it down. Oh man, that was not fun. So we're about 2 weeks in. They said that this time now I have to get blood transfusions on top of everything, because your immune system and the iron, it's beyond me. But now I think it's anemic, or yeah, which, dude, those sucked, because now you got 3 or 4 bags here, and then you got your blood transfusion bag here, and you got a line in the pick. I don't think I got my port yet. So you had all those going in, and here's a real, another funny story. So I was down at that Hope Center, and I'm getting these blood transfusions, and I'm getting dehydrated and stuff because I'm not wanting to. It's so hard to drink and just eat or do any of that. So I'm getting dehydrated. They're doing these blood transfusions and whatnot, and she comes in and she's like, well, you're extremely dehydrated. She goes, usually that's got something to do with the chemo or someone who's under the influence. And I was just like, yeah, I'm both.
Holly?
Yeah, she went outside of the vein, and I didn't say anything, and it started bubbling up like this, and it was getting really painful. And I was like,
Why
yeah.
wouldn't you say something?
I was new. I didn't know if I was supposed to do that.
Yeah, you
But
gotta.
finally it got so painful. I was like, ah. And she was like, oh my gosh. She goes, yeah, this usually only happens when someone's under the influence or really dehydrated. And I go, I'm probably both.
Probably both. Yes. Oh my God.
She was awesome. She was awesome about that. And because that CBD really helped cut down on the other medications. It really did. I'm gonna go over a little. We went into my diet. The way I've heard it described by other people is like similar to like a pregnant diet, kind of. Like 1 minute you like this, and 1 minute you don't. And that's kind of where I would go. Now I'm doing I'm a little bit into my treatment of chemo. I'm still getting really sick, but my back pain's going away, and honestly, that I love that. Like once I got into my chemo, I could feel my hormone level dropping, and I could feel myself becoming more in check with my emotions. I always focused to look on the bright side. I was having all these other symptoms, sick, doing all this, but like it was also nice, not like feeling like I'm crazy all the time and not being in pain constantly. Like that was really, really comforting. Like yeah, had all these other stuff, but that was like, in my opinion, very minor to my back pain. And they usually would ask me too, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your pain factor like? And they'd always ask me twice because I would just be like, yeah, it ain't bad, it ain't bad. They're like, Adam, you were coughing up blood for a week. Are you sure? Yeah, because I didn't want to be a pain in the butt to anyone. I just wanted to do it. I was an easy patient. Like I wouldn't be vocal or anything. Like if I was in pain, I was just gonna keep it old school, I guess. Yeah, just keep it old school. Yeah, that's just kind of how I was raised.
It's my understanding that a lot of people that were helping him, a lot of the healthcare workers, doctors and everything, nurses, they were very impressed with that too, that he could come in day after day going through that and still like have a good attitude. But that's Adam.
Now in the brutal effects of the derecho that ripped through the Midwest 5 days after those 100-mile-an-hour winds as strong as a hurricane, that misery still continues. Homes are damaged and tens of thousands are still without power.
The wild thing is derecho hit.
Tonight, nearly 133,000 customers still without power, days after a devastating and deadly derecho swept through Iowa.
That hit, I think it was like August 10th or something. So I was like 3 weeks into chemo when that hit, and that really sucked. That really sucked.
Monday's fast-moving line of powerful thunderstorms catching many by surprise, slamming the Cedar Rapids area with destruction reminiscent of a hurricane, killing at least 4 people.
I remember I was actually sleeping, and Kitchen Nightmares was on. And my phone was going off, and someone was like, "Oh, you ready for this storm?" I'm like, "What? What's a storm?"
Unleashing wind gusts topping 100 miles per hour.
So it was a while. Like, I didn't care. Like, I looked at it this way. I still do live in a trailer, and like, you can only imagine though. It felt like a surfboard, that wind going under there.
Uprooting trees, toppling power lines, demolishing homes and businesses.
And like, I was still kind of emotions and hormone level, like I was getting in check, but they were still kind of high. So like, I honestly didn't care. The derecho was happening, and you got all this stuff happening around it. I was at the window just watching. I was like, yeah, if I die, I die. You know what I mean? What's a week early or whatever? What's a week earlier than they say? I went full YOLO mode. Is that what the kids call it nowadays?
You are a kid.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking, I'm not that old, dude.
Now, you got to be thinking to yourself, holy shit, they gave me a week. They told you you might not make it a week. You're either going to die from this or that. You make it through that, then you wake up. Did you wake up after the storm? Or like, holy shit.
No, I woke up right before, like minutes before. So like, I'm getting up and like, what are people talking about this storm for? And then like, you feel it come in. So that hits, and luckily I was able to get a hotel in Iowa City, which is 20-30 minutes. Yeah, I still had to do chemo, and I still had to, the day didn't really change for me. I packed up my stuff, went down with my family, took my dog. I won't leave my dog. I took my dog, we went to a hotel, and then every morning, wake up about 6:30, do your puking and stuff, and get ready, and then go to chemo. And it was kind of a breath of fresh air, because it was still normal there. You know, they still had power, they still had their food, they still had the hot, cold stuff, you know. So it was just like another day there. But everything outside of there looked like a war zone.
Are you on the downside of chemo, or are you coming?
No. Like, when you say downside, like,
There's no downside.
yeah, like, I still got a lot of, like, scare moments during the chemo thing where they didn't know. It was kind of wild. About this time is where I kind of stopped using morphine, because it was like a day or two after, and it looked like a war zone. I'm outside walking, and I got my 3.5 hour morphine going in, and I'm just walking, and the neighbor kids saw me do it too. I just rolled my ankle really bad. I don't even flinch. I just keep walking. I'm just like, pain-free, like, just between everything. It was like, oh yeah, and like, to this day, that ankle is still kind of swollen and whatnot. And I wonder too, like, during chemo, I would get extremely bloated. I would, just between all the fluids I would take, like hydration fluids, and then the actual chemo medicines themselves, I would gain, in probably about 24 to 48 hour period, a good 20 to 30 pounds easily. And I would just, and everything would just balloon up.
Go get some recruits. Oh, good deal.
You've seen me like at 170, you've seen me at like 120. So when that happened, it was on my right leg, that same ankle, and they'd have to start doing like ultrasound on my leg to make sure that there was no blood clots or anything, just because, you know, I'm not getting a lot of activity, and then just with me being so bloated and stuff, that the risk for blood clots is just extremely high right there. Luckily, I never had any blood clots in my legs or anything. I got them in a better spot, but later on. So I'd get the bloating, chemo fog or chemo brain. Sometimes you just get, it'd just be really hard to think, keep things in order. It was like fog, like if your brain is foggy, just like it sounds. Standing up and sitting too fast, that would affect you. There was times where I got up and I passed out. Literally just boom, just went out. Oh, just from getting winded or whatever. I'm doing pretty good with the chemo. I'm starting to, as bad as it sounds, when I say getting used to it, like this stuff's not going away. I'm just learning to live and adapt to everyday life. I'm just becoming more aware of my body and just different signals that my body's giving me. That is, in my head, making stuff kind of easier. It's not as wild. September comes, and there was a couple of scares in September where the chemo was just taking its course on me. It was one of those days where I just go in for a checkup. While I'm there, I go to the bathroom. Something just starts seeming weird. Like the room is just very kind of like, I don't know, blurry is the right way to put it. And I just start sweating profusely, starting to have a tough time thinking. My lips are starting to change color. All kinds of stuff are happening. And I said something to the nurse, and she's like, oh. And then a couple minutes go by, and then, like, I'm still sweating really bad. Now my clothes are starting to look like I just went, like they're wet. At this point in time, they hit that thing, where the nurses and the doctors on that floor come in. Nicole, one of my nurses, talked about it. She said she was training someone that day. This goes on for probably an hour, maybe two, and they're getting my vitals and stuff. They're kind of out of whack, and like they don't know what's going on. This was probably the second time where I was like, oh man, I don't know what's happening here. Second time after I got diagnosed. So I was like, I don't know what's happening here. This is kind of weird. I think it was just my body was going into shock. We really, there's never like an answer given or anything. Because my chemo, it was supposed to end probably like a month or two sooner than it did. But I just would get sick and stuff, and he would just take breaks to whenever he thought I was physically, my body could handle it, to come back. Beginning of October, I'm feeling really, really, like, when I say really good, I'm feeling closer to alive than dead, I guess. Like, when I say I'm feeling good, that's the way to look at it. I'm getting excited that, hey, chemo is almost done. I'm not in remission or anything yet, but hey, chemo is almost done. I get sick again. Whatever. I come back from it. I get to my last chemo day, and I got to ring the bell and everything. And that was really cool, because you got through your chemo. You got through one of your treatment processes, like one of your steps. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, I talked earlier about the little wins. Like, that's a big one. You know what I mean? Like, I always try to set some goals that I'll probably hit, and then some goals that I might not hit. And like, that was one of those goals I thought I could hit. But like, if I'm being completely honest, like, I wasn't 100% sure. Like, I was confident, but I wasn't 100 on that. So yeah, I made it, and that was fun. That was really awesome. And like, one of the ways that I celebrated was Halloween was coming up. I handed out Halloween candy. I thought that was fun. I mean, I was told I shouldn't do it and whatnot, but you do it. It's for the kids, man. Isn't that what they always say? It's for the kids, dude. So yeah, I loved it. I was just, that was like probably outside of chemo, that was the highlight month. I think back was, yeah, I got to hand out Halloween candy, and it's just cool seeing all those. And like, this is still during that COVID time, the end of 2020. So like, not just with my own things going on, there was something that everyone could relate to, like not seeing each other. So that was cool. Yeah. And now, whatever comes up must come down. This is probably where it starts to get to the dark. When I say dark, where I viewed the toughest times, and probably the hardest physical struggle. It's hard to say because, well, maybe it's not the toughest. I'm battling in my mind right now. I want to say it's the toughest physically, but the beginning was the tougher mentally. So I would say mental always triumphs the physical, because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna get you. Is, you know, or if I would have got myself, as bad as that sounds, as, you know what I'm kind of saying, like with suicide and stuff. Yeah. And I just kind of want to address that emotional side quick again. Go back to it. That was a tough time, but it was honestly probably the most important event or time period in all of my life, because it helped form who I am today. It helped form a mentality that I needed to what is going to get me through the next part, the next journey that I'm about to go on, that physical part. It gave me that, as I'm going to say, that, do you know who David Goggins is? It gave me that Goggins mentality. And then it gave me that Nate Diaz mentality. Don't be scared, homie. It really did. Like, luckily I was kind of already into that stuff before, but this is where, like, the rubber meets the road, where you find out what you're made of. Like, so I addressed that, and it brought up childhood issues that helped me focus and go back and face my inner demons that maybe I didn't know that I had. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff that you suppress and you put it in that dark hole and you just lock it up and throw away the key. That's where I went through and really addressed those. November starts. First week or so, I'm feeling great. I'm starting to interact more. I'm starting to, when I say interact more, like, not like I'm leaving or anything, just family and friends that live close. I'm able to see them. And because there was a lot of times, like during that chemo month, where it was just me alone for a long time. When I say a long time, like my mom, you know, she would check in on me or everything, but she still got, you know, her relationships, my brother and everything. She's still got her every day. Her life continues. Like you said earlier, like, she still she has to see it every day with me, but like, she's still got her stuff that she's got to tend to as well, just like everyone. So there was a lot of time where it was just alone. Me and my dog and I guess I should say. Yeah, he's just awesome. So November, I'm starting to socialize a little bit, better word, socialize a little bit more. That first week, I'm feeling good. I'm still not physically, like, it's still kind of a struggle to do everyday tasks and whatnot. Like, I'm not by any means like close to a normal life. My best friend, shout out Matt, he moved in he needed a new living situation and kind of scratched both of our backs. Like, he could help me and whatnot, and he came in and, like, honestly, like, I was typing up my outline, and this is like the first part that really hit me, is like, I'm coming up on some of the physically worst parts of my time, but like, it's some of my best memories, because like mentally, I'm not in the dump mentally, you know what I mean? Like, physically I am, but mentally I'm good. So like, Matt moved in, and that was just like, that was great. Just the memories that when we lived together for 6-7 months or whatever it was, like, it was just, he helped out. Like, he doesn't really like nasty stuff, and he did such a good time, like, where if I puked or whatever, he would clean it up, and like, wouldn't even gag once, you would never imagine, like, oh, that's what Matt's doing, he's cleaning up. Adam thought he wanted wings when he knew he shouldn't have ate wings that night because of his chemo and stuff, but the mouth pleasure got to him, and so he woke up at midnight and just started, he can't get to the bathroom, he's just gonna puke over the side of the bed just because it's hard to get to the bathroom, I mean? Like, stuff like that. Like, it's cool. I mean, luckily I don't have like a lot of social media and stuff, but I've got a real close-knit group of friends that I've known from diapers to like elementary, middle school days, and we've got like 3 or 4 of us that are just like this. So I may not have like 1,000 friends on Facebook or whatever, but I got those guys that I can, call at any time, you know what I mean? It's cool, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I'm not trying to brag. It's more of like, I'm just very grateful, like,
The people you can depend on.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I was just so grateful. And like, so I'm at some of my worst times. Sorry, here's a little bit of a tangent there. We're in November, and there was a crazy event happened in November. I'm big into martial arts and Jiu Jitsu and stuff. I think it was Khabib versus Conor, and we all we weren't able to watch to, like, get together. So like Zoom and stuff, like, dude, you know what I mean? Just with your buddies, like, that's cool stuff. Actually, dude, you better cut that out. You don't want Uncle Dana knowing that we were streaming the fights. Yeah. Oh man,
we got him. We're watching this guy right now. All you have to do is turn it on Saturday. I can't wait. Turn it on Saturday, streamers, and see what happens.
No, that was just one of the cool, like, things I wanted to, like, tell you about. Like, dude, like, it was just really cool. Like, because we had my buddies here, and then one of our friends lives in Texas.
What would you do if the ceiling tiles popped out and SWAT team came?
It said, we caught him. I didn't say any names, guys. I'm not gonna talk. I'm not talking. You already did. On myself. Yeah, so Thanksgiving is coming up now, and I am not feeling good at all. Like, it's starting to become more labored again. Mind you, I'm 2-3 weeks after chemo now. Starting to become more labored again. Excuse me. It's starting to become harder to breathe, harder to talk. It's not going good at all. And my everyday struggles are still the same as those were. So now we're Thanksgiving week. And I'm not really getting out of the bed too much. I can maybe get up, go to the kitchen, get a drink, maybe. Probably shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna try it anyways. And I'm talking to... And now Thanksgiving comes, and Thanksgiving weekend comes, and I'm stuck in the bed, and this is honestly where this was the most uncertain time of my life. And that's because you heard me where I was before. Now it was maybe I could get one word out every 10 seconds. And now I'm not getting up to go to the bathroom. I had to do Thanksgiving alone, so it was pretty cool. My neighbors, they brought me over a meal and whatnot, so that was awesome. So Thanksgiving passed, the weekend passes, it's Monday morning now, the Monday after Thanksgiving weekend, and I am not doing good at all. I am not doing good at all. My mom calls my oncologist first thing in the morning, tells him, he's like, whoa, what are you doing? He should have been in the ER last week. So they throw my bag of stuff that I've got, I threw like my laptop in there and just my other stuff, not too much. And my mom takes me to the ER, and I end up having pneumonia, blood clots in my lung, and pneumonia, blood clots, and then bleomycin toxicity, which is lucky me, a rare side effect to chemo.
But the drug has a tendency to cause lung damage. Not in everybody, but if it does, it can cause scarring of the lungs. And the damage is kind of idiosyncratic. It can happen with the first dose. It can happen like 6 months after you're done with those. So you don't know, because so what happens, it causes a inflammatory reaction in the lung tissue because it gets concentrated in the lungs, and that will cause the body to scar down the lungs. When the lungs scar down, you can't breathe.
I think it's about 10% chance, and it's usually irreversible. And what that does is, from my crappy understanding, it like calcifies your lungs. Your lungs are usually porous, and they open and allow the blood and the oxygen. Well, now they calcify and become hard and scar tissue like a rock, and it like puts like a fogginess on them on the MRI. And it's a very brutal side effect, very brutal side effect. So I'm in the ICU now, and they give me those rundowns, and I am not doing good at all. I'm in the bed, I got all the stuff hooked up to me and whatnot. And when I went in there, I was like at 120 something pounds. And I usually walk around about, before cancer, 140. And I come out at like I think it was like upper 160s, almost 170. So in that week, just from all the fluids, antibiotics, all that stuff I gained. It was crazy. Like, the clothes I went in with that time, like, I couldn't fit. My shoes were even real tight. I think I had to wear like scrubs and stuff out and home. But the unfortunate thing is although the pneumonia went away, I was still stuck at the gasping for air,
and you could not breathe at all. As a matter of fact, you were wheezing.
That's what I was telling him.
You were wheezing. Yeah. You were wheezing like somebody who has smoked like 4 packs per day for all their lives. So what
that was
we
when I was
did
facing that transplant.
Yeah.
I got turned down.
Well, that was an option, lung transplantation.
No, we didn't
also.
want that. The
Yeah.
other guy wanted it. We didn't want it.
But that's a brutal option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, while I was up there in the ICU for that week, I guess I didn't really go through my mental state, did I? That's when I was uncertain, and I thought there was a chance that I might die in the hospital, and I told my mom that before we were packing our things. That when we were packing that things, I told my mom, I was like, I know it's been quite the ride, but I don't know what's gonna happen. As she could decipher that message between my gasping and stuff and crying and whatnot, and she's crying at that time too, because I could only imagine, what her mind was thinking as well. When we got up to the hospital, all I wanted to do was, I just wanted to go home. I mean, I would tell my nurse that all the time, like, I just want to go home. Like, I don't care, I think like, for me, I didn't really fear much. I just, being up there, like, it was during that COVID time, and I could only imagine some of those that were up there with COVID were feeling too. I mean, your visitors, you couldn't have visitors, so like, or if you could, it was like 1 or 2, and they were strict with the times and stuff. So like, my big fear was, I don't want to die alone. You know what I mean? Like, so I just want to go home in my bed to where if I do die, I'll die with my dog beside me. You know what I mean? So that was like, honestly, like the big thing. And while I was up there for that week, it was cool. One of my training partners, beyond a training partner, one of my friends, and she came and saw me, and she probably won't know how much that meant to me until this time right now, but that's Claire. She's a pharmacist and she works up there, so she didn't have to go through all the visitor protocol and stuff. She was able to come see me on her lunch and whatnot, so that was an awesome thing, because because my mom goes to, people, they go during the day or whatever. It's just nice to have a familiar face to be able to stop in there, and like, yeah, I was just so grateful for that moment. Like, that really put like a lack of a better term, like a love that I don't, like a relationship, like a thing that I'll never forget. I'm sure she'll probably never forget, but like it's like meant the world to me, especially during that time where probably not a lot of people knew, like, well, they knew I had cancer and stuff, but like how scared I was to die in there, to die alone, I guess, to die alone.
And you never saw that like really, really sad, scared Adam that I just saw in that video, because he just always was such a light and such a joy. And it's really sad to know that he was feeling that, but boy, you just don't know when you're around him how positive he was.
Yeah, and it was such a weird time, because you know, in a situation like that, you know, nobody knows how to deal with that, and then you know, to be in the middle, this is the heat of COVID. This is when like everything is kind of crazy, and so you were scared. You couldn't, you know, you couldn't go visit him. You couldn't, even when he was at home, you didn't really want to go visit him because you didn't want to get him sick. And like it was, I think it made I didn't even realize until, you know, listening to that, how much worse that made it on him. Not only was he going through such a, you know, really hard, you know, journey, but to have that on top of it. And I mean, you know, you try to connect as much as you can. You try to know what's going on. You try to be there for your friend, but it's that just made it, you know, 10 times more difficult. And you know, it's so, you know, it makes you so sad. You know, that you kind of have to, it like forced people to do that alone in a way that, you know, is just makes everything so hard.
The visitors that I was able to have was my mom, and then out of that week, there was one day where she couldn't be able to spend the whole night because of something to do with my brother or whatever, everyday life stuff going on. So my roommate Matt came, and we had to strong arm the security guard and tell a couple white lies, and luckily the nurses were on our side, so he ended up being able to stay the night. But hey, it was cool. It worked out for the best.
It's like he's still that same light. Like he still carries around this like positive energy that, I don't know, he's just always such a joy to see. And I think everybody that interacts with him feels that.
So now I get out. That was my weekend there. I'm still facing the dilemmas of the pneumonia's gone, but now I'm dealing with the bleomycin toxicity and the blood clots. So I get on a blood thinner, and that's going to be working to address the issue with the blood clots. And the other thing that I'm going to be doing was I had to do, I think it was prednisone or something. It was a crazy amount. I think it was like 100-something milligrams of prednisone, and they say usually you only get that if you're dying or about to die or something, or cancer. So there you go. Not really. I mean, it might be helping a little bit, but it's not. I'm still having oxygen levels in the 70s and 80s, and that's the times that I'm actually testing myself. It's probably lower at peak times when I'm walking to go to the bathroom or trying to walk to the bathroom and I don't have my monitor on. So I'm dealing with low oxygen levels. Usually at 85% oxygen, you can get the oxygen tank. But one of the side effects to bleomycin toxicity is if you have oxygen, it could make it worse. So you gotta weigh the pros and the cons, and we were like, it's not worth trying to have that oxygen to end up maybe making my bleo worse to where it just permanently shoots me. So it's kind of like you're gonna have to live with this, you know what I mean? This is December 2020. I do my Christmas thing. I ended up breaking the rules a little bit. I went to a big gathering. I don't know, like honestly I don't know if I was gonna die, like I don't know, like it wasn't that I thought COVID was a joke or anything. It was just, I was like, yeah, man, I don't know, it's stubbornness, you know. I don't know. I was gonna do it. That's just kind of how I am at the end of the day. Adam's just gonna do it. Yeah, we get through Christmas, everything. I now started PFTs, pulmonary functionality test, and that is you go in this tube thing and you bite down on this mouthpiece, and they will you got to do different breathing techniques, in and out and panting, just all kinds of stuff, and it'll measure like the pressure and volume and stuff beyond me. So I started doing those, and I did not do good at all. My first one, I did not do good at all. I go in, at this time, I'm still not driving. I mean, I would drive every now and then, I'm not gonna lie. You weren't supposed to with all the medication, but yeah, every now and then I would sneak out, like I said, to my old work. My mom took me to this appointment, and this is my first one. I puked all over myself and on there, just trying to breathe. Like, I'm just trying to breathe in this, and I'm getting sick, you know what I mean? And that was like my only negative experience with a professional. Yeah, that was my only negative. The way the nurse treated me at that time could have definitely been handled better, but on the positive note, I've had her before, and we kind of made up, so that's good. So that test did not go good, and that was the beginning of January, I think, and get a call from my pulmonologist, that's a lung doctor pretty much, that on the results of how that test goes, and it doesn't go good. Yeah, it's crazy. This is how much air I was getting. I was only getting 1.9 liters of air.
We should have rolled back then.
Oh, I know. Dude, at this time, it was really like,
yeah.
Doug! He basically informs us, like, yeah, Adam's pretty much conditions are probably not going to get better. He's looking at a transplant. He's going to have to get a transplant. And that was not really the news that I wanted to hear, or that I was going to accept. Like I don't know how it works, but at this point in time, I at least felt like I could make some decisions myself, like when it comes to power of attorney and your will and that stuff, because I probably should have said that earlier, but I had to sign like over my power, like when I did that palliative care stuff or whatever. But yeah, so he says that and about the transplant and whatnot, so like, okay, whatever. And I took that pretty hard. I did. I remember I was riding back home with my mom, and it was in my car. She was driving. I had the phone call on the intercom, and we get off. And I don't know, like, when I heard that, mind you, I've always been a pretty active kid. I've always, as a kid, when I was young, you could give me a whooping all day. The worst punishment was not going outside. Like, if I couldn't go outside and play basketball, that was the worst punishment. So, like, this was, like, kind of almost worse than the cancer diagnosis. Like, when he told me that, it really was. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, dang. Oh, a couple days passed, you know, I had that to stew on and whatnot, and the pulmonologist was trying to get that lung transplant, and I had no idea what it was going to be. And I was kind of, I don't know, I wasn't against the idea of a lung transplant. I was more of, well, if I'm not going to get any worse, I'm fine with this. I'm like most people, like, I'm content. Like, as bad as that sounds, like, I'm bedridden right now, but if I know I'm gonna live and this is the worst, like, I was kind of content. I wanted to see, you know, because this was only like a month or two after, so I really wanted to give it more time. Is what I'm getting at. It's like, I can live with it. I can live with this shitty quality of life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can live with that. Like, I've been doing it, and I can continue to do it. Like, because I was in a good mind space. Like, yeah, I was bummed out about that, but it wasn't. There was nothing like a mentality like before with suicide or anything. There was nothing of that. So he ends up calling, and yeah, you got turned down. You're too high risk for the lung transplant. You have to be in remission for 3 years, and this was, I want to say, like January 17th, January 20th, or whatever. And, like, honestly, I did not mind that at all. Like, too high risk. Like,
and so what
that was
we
when I
did
was
is,
facing that transplant.
Yeah.
You know, I got turned down.
well, that was an option, lung transplantation.
No, we didn't
also.
want that. The
Yeah.
other guy wanted it. We didn't want it.
But, you know, that's a brutal option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where I call it the turning point. This is where that David Goggins mentality really kicks in, like, hardcore. I looked at it, dang, I got turned down. So I know, worst comes to worst, they're telling me right now that I'm not gonna get any better or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they're telling me I'm not gonna get any better. Okay. All right, well, I'm not dead. I've still got the opportunity to try, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still here. Like, all these stops, I was facing death, you know what I mean? Like, I was facing death. So it was a very, in ways, energizing moment. Like, energizing moment. It was like, okay, so if I'm not gonna get any better, can I really get worse? Like, I'm already bedridden. Can I get worse? Like, what's the worst thing that I push myself and I die? Well, they've been telling me I was gonna die. Like, so if it happens, it happens. What, like, seriously, whatever. That's really, like, I'm getting worked up right now thinking about it. I went beast mode. I went balls to the wall. I would have my puke bucket. I would have my music because I still had my cool setup. My room was still kind of cool. It's like a little entertainment hub kind of. So it's like I got my music here. At this time, the gym gave me a grappling dummy to where I could just do drills on or whatever, whatever I wanted to try, I could try because, dang, I forgot to mention this. When I was doing chemo, I would try to do exercises when I could too. So in chemo, I would do like push-ups or whatever while I can. Like I'm pretty sure there's a video of me like right after chemo, and I do like 30-something push-ups, just because one of my buddies, and please keep this in. One of my buddies, Jamie, he was a huge influence on me. Jamie, there's gonna be tangents in here, but please keep this one in. Jamie, former cancer survivor. He beat cancer once, maybe twice. But he was in remission right when I got diagnosed, and he was a family friend that knew me from husband of a family friend that knew me since diapers. So he battled cancer that went throughout his body. I want to say a leukemia. And he found out that I had cancer, so he reached out to me just because he wanted to talk. And he was really one too. He went along that, he got into Goggins and stuff. It's just one of those things, like, I don't know. But he kind of just gave me some tips, and he's like, dude, whatever you do, just do not accept your fate. Whatever you do not kneel over and let this thing get the best of you. So he said just to keep, just keep as active as you can. Whether that's going to get your own drink of water or go in the bathroom on your own. If you're able to do that, just keep doing that, dude. And then he talked with me about diet and whatnot, which I really didn't follow much of the diet. I did some of it, but I ate a lot of junk food just to get calories. But he was a big help in that. So about halfway through chemo, that's when I always would try to do as much body weight stuff as I could. So we've got the puke bucket. We're in the January, with the Bleo. We got the puke bucket, and I'm just like, okay, well, because I stopped doing those body weight exercises and whatnot from probably November, about the Thanksgiving time. I start doing them, and in between the puking, like I do push-ups, and like sometimes you might only get 1 or 2 push-ups. I just do squats without weight. You might only get 1 or 2, and you're huffing and this or that, coughing and spitting up and doing nasty stuff. Do stuff on my drilling dummy. My roommate, I would show him just basic Jiu Jitsu stuff, just like we wouldn't roll or anything. Like on my dummy, I'd show him how to do an Americana or how to do a mount escape, that type of stuff. And so it's February now. Probably about a month later, maybe 3 weeks, I have a appointment with my oncologist. And mind you, the last time he saw me was about a month ago, and I'm, how are you? And he comes in, hey, Adam, MMA, Jiu Jitsu, fighting, all that stuff, you're going to have to give that up. You're going to have to give that up. And I'm just kind of sitting there and like, oh, starting to talk a little bit, but when his face is starting to lighten up, and he's like, whoa, are you able to continue talking like this? And I'm like, yeah, it's been getting better. I told him, went through what I was doing, and he's like, what? And like, it was cool because when I was forcing myself like that, I was hearing from other like outside sources, outside family, friends, like, oh, you're being a meathead, you're being stupid, you're doing too much, you're pushing yourself too much. And I was always like, you know, and my mind was like, no, I'll show you. That was my mindset. It was like, I'll show you. So he couldn't believe I'm starting to talk. He's like, oh, Adam, do you got time? And I'm like, yeah. So he hooks me up and we go walk around the hospital, and he's just in amazement. Like, he can't believe this. Like, I mean, I'm not running around circles, not doing this, but it's quite the change from being bedridden. We get back and my mom's like, oh, is that from the prednisone? He's like, no, there's no way. The prednisone, that's just an act of God. Whatever, that's him and God doing that.
I think so. I think it's God.
Yeah.
The type of response.
I'm praying every day.
This is wild too.
It was that's one of my most happiest moments. Like, that's one of my happiest moments. It's just like, I didn't even, for the lack of a better term, make it to where I wanted to yet. But it was one of those things, like before, like where I thought I was going crazy. We're coming back, like people think I'm doing crazy stuff, you know what but no, like, it's actually helping, you know what I mean? Like, it's helping. So I continue through, like, I'm on cloud 9. I continue a couple weeks of doing my workouts and stuff, and now March comes, and it's March 2021, and I'm all really happy and stuff because I'm gonna try going back to the gym now.
You didn't, I mean, I didn't expect I definitely did not expect Adam to be back on the mats and back training.
I'm gonna try going back, and it's only been probably like 7-8 months, like, since I've trained now, and like since I've had all the cancer stuff, the bleomycin, and I'm still dealing with the bleomycin and stuff. Like, I'm still not talking much, so I try to go back, and I'm not really. A lot of it was nice to just kind of get back, go back to the gym, the smell, the feel, you know, it was just really nice. Like, so I'm back, and I would work with my buddy Jared. He was my main training partner throughout it all. We would just drill what I could and try to do warm-ups. I might be quitting halfway through warm-ups.
It's crazy because then he got done with his cancer treatment, and then his lungs were so shot that he was on the list for a lung transplant. And he's coming to class, and he could get through a little bit of it, and then his fingers would turn like bright white. He'd be completely out of breath, and I'm like, Adam, like
our entire staff is like debating getting CPR training just for Adam.
Yeah, we're like, what do we do if? Hey, Claire, what do we do if? And they're like, I'm
just trying it. I'm just trying it. I'm just trying to get a sweat going. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get a sweat going and breathe a little bit heavy and get my heart rate up. I do that for about a couple weeks. That was just so gratifying, because I was talking with my coach, John, right at the beginning when I was getting all these negative prognosis and stuff. I told him, I was like, dude, don't worry, I'll be back. Like, I know I'll be back. Like, I'll be back on the mats, man. And he did. He's like, I believe in you, man. I believe in you. I think you will. And it wasn't, like, it was a genuine, it wasn't like just saying that, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people are like, yeah, I believe in you. It's like, yeah, everyone's been in those situations where they know. So that, it was just so gratifying to overcome all that and make it back on the mats. But that cloud 9, it wasn't reality, you know. I was living on a high. So I'm back for like, I think I tried coming back that whole month, but I really only trained like maybe 2 weeks, and like a couple days each week, because I kept getting sick. And like, when I say sick, like cold and that type of stuff. And then finally the big kicker was on my leg. I thought I was getting this like mark, and I don't know, I thought it was like staph or something, starting to burn and whatnot and look kind of nasty. And I'm thinking it's staph, but I have no idea. So I go to just like a walk-in clinic, and like right away he's like, oh buddy, you got shingles. At that point I was like, as much as I didn't want to, I was like, I better take a break from the gym. Just kind of let my immune system build back up, and just, there was still just a lot of uncertainties and stuff about my health, to where I couldn't, it wasn't smart for me to do it. It's like, dang, another like setback. Like I keep getting and going, but there's setback here, setback here. And I was like, oh man. Well, my weight was still not like the best. Like, I wasn't like obese or anything, but I was just thinking, I was like, well, the last time I was working out, I was a little bit heavier. If I continue to do my body workouts, and I focus on a little bit more what I eat and stuff, I can maybe drop some weight and make my comeback easier to whenever that does happen again later on in the year. So that's pretty much what I did. I started watching what I ate and tried walking more. I became one of the mall walkers. Like the old people. Every once in a while I'd go to the mall, and before they would open, I'd walk, I'd do that. You'd get some weird looks, because you'd have usually old people that'd be like, what in the heck is that guy doing? It was like the same like dirty, not there I didn't really get dirty looks, but it was similar looks to where, like, for a period of time I had to use the scooters or whatever at the grocery stores. And like, I would get like weird looks sometimes when I'd ride those. Like, I'm sure someone, oh, look at that young punk just screwing around, causing chaos. Well, degenerates. Nah. It was just whatever I could do to try making that weight shed off, to make that comeback easier. Well, finally I got to that point. I think in about 6 month period I lost about 20 pounds or so. It was more closer to my normal weight. So this is about September, I started coming back to the gym, and I kind of started where I left off in March, where you do the warm-ups, you do the some drilling. It started out with I would drill, and then, you know, little by little I would try doing more than I did yesterday. Like, every time that I would train, try doing a little bit more. Most of the time that would work out, but there were some times where you know, you're not always going to be on that day, especially in my condition. Like, honestly, even at this point, if I didn't puke that day, it was a win. Like that's where I was. Like if I didn't puke or get to coughing and puking, like it was a win. Finally, drilling led to maybe a little bit situational drilling going really light, or flow rolling going really light. And usually that was with a lot of my coaches, John, Jared, Jeremy, others. Sorry if I forgot a name, but yeah, like pretty much everyone I trained with, they were very accommodating and aware of somewhat of my conditions. I just knew I was a fragile human being. Early 2022 to where I was beginning to flow roll a little bit more. It was still really light, because when I roll, I've got to watch. My hands will turn white and lack of oxygen throughout my body and stuff. So I got to be very mindful of how hard I go and when I take my breaks and stuff. And it's, even to this day, it's still that way. So I'm flow rolling more, and all through this time, like pretty much since diagnosis, my like hormone levels and whatnot were all like looking good. They were always like progressing in the right way. My tumor levels were always shrinking, so that was good. It was just like when I say I was at a rough spot, it was like more so my body was at a rough spot, but like my labs and stuff were looking good, if that makes sense. Also, I forgot like probably one of the biggest details. Another reason why that February date was big, when I told, when I went back and they saw me, the doctor, is I was officially in remission. I think that was around March of 2021. So that same month where I tried going back to the gym originally, I was in remission. That was part of my Cloud 9. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, because like really like that's the second half of my story is like the cancer, not even what I'm dealing with cancer, it's all the recovery, it's the side effects of the cancer. So sometimes that remission date just kind of was like, because like it like didn't stop there. Like that was just one of those goals, one of those steps. So now it's April 2022, and I'm starting to flow roll again, and I think I was rolling with Jared, and that's when I got promoted to my purple belt. So that was another like bright spot, like a life. It's gonna sound stupid. That was one of my bright spots, like a life achievement moment. Like I've got my bachelor's degree. Like I really don't. It's cool. I really don't care, honestly. Like I couldn't even tell you where that's tucked away at. But my purple belt, that really meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me, especially just overcoming everything that was before. And it feels like each time that I'm telling all these milestones, it's like, it meant a lot, overcoming. Yeah, and not only did it mean a lot just to get the recognition from your peers and everything, I was getting back to a semi-normal level. You know what I mean? Like in the gym, semi-normal level. Like I'm at least still able to have a little bit of fun. Yeah, it was just so gratifying just to receive that. And like, a lot of my peers, or whatever you want to call it, my teammates, like they think it's crazy that I'm coming in here, but like honestly, like you guys made it easy for me to come in. Like you guys really, like, I'm coming here to see my friends and stuff. It's you know what I mean? Like it's like a sanctuary kind of thing. Like yeah, physically it was hard to come in, but it's what I want to do, you know? So that's why I don't know. I never really saw it as like a difficult coming in. And you feel right at home anyhow.
So any day that I'm not feeling up to train, you know, sometimes if I'm tired or sore, you know, or whatever, in any kind of mood, like you just have to remember that, you know, and how excited he was to get back to training when that was, you know, almost taken away from him.
Now we're in probably May and June, and I'm starting to pick up my like flow rolls. I'm starting to up the intensity, and I'm really, the last summer is the first time where I really started to feel normal. That's where I really started to feel like I could maybe go out and not be as tired getting groceries or whatever, where everyday life is just coming easier, where I'm no longer waking up puking 5 days out of the week. Sometimes, I mean, it's been a little bit like, now maybe it's only like once a week or whatever, where you're coughing and that stuff. So I'm feeling normal. Our gym, we get a new location here, a bigger location. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm starting to feel normal. I'm starting to be able to do stuff without getting fatigued. My weight is starting to get at a better level. I'm starting to focus more on my toning, just like physical health, just in general. Since now it's getting closer towards to the, I don't know, end of recovery or whatever you want to say, call it. Now we're September, October, and I've been doing these PFTs every couple months, handful of months, since 2021. The pulmonary function test. I'm really excited for this one because, like, I can feel it. Like I just know, like, internally, like I'm feeling, like, physically, I know I'm doing good. Like I just know, like my Dr. Wood said, like, he's the one that's gonna know his body. Like, he's gonna know if he's doing too much. So I do that test, and you know how I said earlier that the nurse that we didn't really get along, the one, because I puked all of it. Well, she's the nurse now. I ended up saying something to her again. She didn't really remember it. She apologized for it. We're getting along better, because a lot of times, like with some of the medical professionals, they don't see your full history or whatever. So like, I don't think I talked to her more about what I was going through, and I think she understood more of like where I was coming from. But yeah, like with this test, it was cool because I don't know much about these tests, but there's a couple numbers where I know, like, okay, I know I need to hit this number. I've never hit this number, but I know it's a goal. And so we're doing it, and we're doing the PFT, and I asked her, I was like, oh yeah, so do you know what that number is? I don't know what it is, but I just know my goal is 80. And she's like, oh, I really don't know, but she looks and she's like, okay. I didn't make it. And I'm like, she's like, do you want to try again? And she let me try a couple times. And I ended up hitting 80. And she's like, you hit 80. And we kind of had, like, at that time, she's kind of invested in my story and stuff now that she knows the history and everything. You know what I mean? And it was really cool. Like, I knew I hit those, but I don't know yet, because now they're waiting, because she doesn't even know like what all those numbers and stuff mean. She's just the person administrating the test. So the doctor interprets it and whatnot, and that's where we came in, and you were able to come to that one, and I ended up hitting pretty much a lot of the numbers. I didn't hit them all, but I hit most of them, where I was really pumped and he was really excited too.
So you went on the vital capacity, meaning how much air you can hold from.
I doubled it. From
39% predicted to 89%.
I told you I could hit that 80.
Yeah. And actually, you doubled the FEV1. So the FEV1 is how much air you can blow out as fast as possible over 1 second. And like, you doubled everything.
These numbers, they didn't think I would hit them.
Wow. You went from 53% to 80. Yeah. You recovered significantly. Wow. That's pretty remarkable.
That was really cool. That was really cool to see. You take your wins and your losses, you know what I mean? You gotta take the wins. Whenever you can get them, you gotta take the wins. One of those goals that you don't know. So I knew out of all those numbers that I hit one of them, but I'm glad to see that the majority of them are that good. Man, that was awesome. I'm probably not gonna make that goal, but you do end up making that goal. That is just, it's really cool. It is, that's a unique feeling, and it's like, that kind of brings us to where we are present. I still have tough days, day-to-day struggle, you know, where my feet or my legs not working right, or just like nerve types, nerve endings and whatnot, my feet and hands, or it's different issues that come about, fatigue, because although like my lungs have gotten better, there's still like room for improvement, but a lot better than facing the issues that would have came with a lung transplant and the complications that would, day-to-day complications, because it's one of the tougher transplants, I've been told. So that is, it's really, really cool. And what was it about? That appointment was, I don't know, like a month ago or so to today filming. Also, since then, I help coach the little kids. I do that a couple days a week, and I'm really enjoying that.
Pretty quickly into us starting the kids program, Adam right away enthusiastically volunteered to help us out. He's great with the kids. He is incredibly patient, which helps a lot, and he's enthusiastic. The kids love him. He's a great body to have on the mats during those kids classes. He's been a huge help.
It's just really nice to give back to a sport and to people that have given you so much. It is just really cool doing it that way, and then this.
His only goal is to make people around him better, and that goes to the kids classes and everybody who he rolls with, no matter what the class is, if it's kids classes or adult classes, all of the above. Adam's there to help people around him be better.
And it's just, it's nice to be like a role model, I guess, lead by example.
I think Adam is a light. I think Adam can't not show you how much he loves things and people.
I'm not a very, outside of this film, unless you piss me off, I'm not a very vocal person. So I'm pretty easygoing, happy-go-lucky.
He's like, everything he does, like he's just so excited and so, it's literally contagious.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And then I think the other side of it too with Adam is that he, not only does he have this like bright sunshine, but like, you know, everybody's going through stuff. And it's really easy to get, you know, a little bit negative, to give yourself excuses. And Adam is like, anytime I think that I'm, you know, going through anything that's like, oh, it's kind of difficult. I like twisted my knee, or I got sick, and then I want to make an excuse to not do something. I think about Adam, and anytime that I'm in a little bit of a mood because something didn't go my way that day, I think about Adam, and I think about not only is he going through something that's, you know, thousands times harder, but he does it with a big smile on his face, and he's brings like contagious positivity to every interaction that he is in.
More lead by example, I guess. So that's like a perfect way to kind of do it, I guess. I mean,
well, I think
face him.
One thing, Adam, you probably don't realize is your drive motivates other people, that they, you know, whether you know it or not, makes them go, I should be on the mats today. I mean, it comes to me sometimes and I'm thinking, oh God, I'm so sore. You look at somebody like yourself, but that's not a role that you planned on taking.
Oh yeah, it's just everyday life. It's normal.
Yeah, it is, but what you go above and beyond, I don't think you realize what you show other people, it does change other people's perception of what they can do because of you. And especially hearing this, most people don't know. I had no idea of a lot of this stuff. And it's pretty eye-opening that, I mean, your dedication is quite remarkable, quite honestly. So.
Yeah, you watch like sports documentaries and stuff a lot, and like a lot of people talk about like they're willing to die for this and stuff. Like, that's honestly like, when I go back to the transplant thing, it was like with the puke bucket and stuff, it was like, oh, guess I'm willing to die for this. You know, I don't know.
That's a very good way to put it. One of the things that I thought was pretty amazing is when we were in meeting with the people, is the amount of people that came up and talked to you that worked there. You know, like, I don't think you understand what you make for them, because their job becomes laborious and it's something they do every day, but it seemed like you brought a smile to everybody's face there. No matter how it went, I mean, here we are with cameras, and they were just happy to see you regardless. Even when the camera was down, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Adam was one that long after he left, everybody remembered. And not only that, it's because he remembered them. I mean, when he walks in to 41, which is where I work, at the surgical oncology floor, when he walks into the cancer center, he still remembers all of his nurses by name. He still remembers stories about them as individuals. He has this ability to make people feel important in a way that, I mean, you can't not love him. Especially in a field where it's very easy to feel underappreciated and unseen. He makes you feel powerful. I mean, it's hard to overstate how big of an impact he made on the medical professionals that he interacts with.
You changed their life too, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, and honestly, tearing up a little, my bad. Honestly, it somewhat goes back to that hormone level thing. I mean, before I had cancer, I mean, I wasn't living a bad life or anything. I like to think like a decent guy or whatever. I mean, I wasn't like partying or doing anything crazy like that. But I wasn't the most positive person. I could be negative. Yeah, I didn't always look on the bright side when it came to things. Like I really didn't, and that's just where that blessing in disguise of the cancer probably in ways saved my life, and that helps me that I don't know, not bring a positive attitude, positive energy. I'm not bringing it, and I never really before. I mean, you knew me before I came. I never really brought a negative energy or anything, but yeah, it's oh man, well, shoot, at least we made it here to you know what I mean? When I go into chemo, damn, at least we made it here today. You know, that's just kind of the way it is.
It's my understanding that a lot of people that were helping him, a lot of the healthcare workers, doctors and everything, nurses, they were very impressed with that too, that he could come in day after day going through that and still have a good attitude. But that's Adam.
And my family and friends can tell a difference too in it, just how it just changed my attitude and yeah, just more positive. Now it's 90% positive instead of, I don't know, 50-50 or whatever it may be.
And it's crazy now to see him. I mean, he's still the most positive person on the planet. When he walks into the gym, it's he's still that same light. He still carries around this positive energy that, I don't know, he's just always such a joy to see. And I think everybody that interacts with him feels that.
Still have self-doubt or that type of stuff, just like every other person, but it definitely helps. And then too, not only so am I living it, when I'm going up, I'm seeing other people that are like me, so those people motivate me too. I talked earlier with my buddy Jamie, who passed from leukemia. I could see his struggle and whatnot. It's just, yeah, it's wild how that, I'm just sitting here thinking it's wild because you were talking about how it with your training and stuff, how it made it easier for you to come in, and then with the nurses and stuff.
Right.
But I'm kind of over here saying, well, it made it easy for me to come in because of you guys. You know what I mean? It's always the other one. Yeah, that's weird how that works.
Let me ask you this. If you had the opportunity to go back and talk to yourself in March of 2020, where you're at now, what would you say to that person in passing? You're walking by each other, you're getting, one person's coming in the elevator, the other one's walking out. What would you say to that person? You being that person.
Believe in yourself. There's brighter days ahead. Yeah, because of the belief. That's the, I believe, personally, I believe in God, Jesus. But I think a lot of people get caught up on the thing that they believe. It's just, you just need to have belief in something, not, you know what I mean? Like you just gotta believe. You gotta believe in something, You've got to believe. Yeah, 'cause I mean, I have no idea, but if you just give up and you don't believe that tomorrow's going to be a better day, then you're just going to go in the dump. You really are. You really are.